And we're rolling! Hey, what's up, y'all? This is FD from RwFD. And the NBA recently celebrated the 75th anniversary team in Cleveland. We saw the creme de la creme of basketball come through there. But today here on RwFD, we're going to celebrate a top player all time in the NBA, and we have an artifact of this player. I want to share with you an amazing story of how I got a piece of the Staples Center dedicated to an athlete. Can you guess who it is before we get there? Stick around. This is going to be a great show. Also, I received a lot of questions about autographed cards. How do I authenticate them? What does the number mean on the card? But I also see a grade number on the card. We're going to walk through all of that with Carlo at Cmon Cards. We have a great conversation with him, and he walks us from A to Z on everything dealing with authenticating our autograph through a slab. So stick around for that. So let's get to the action. Let's go! Who's rolling with FD? Who's rolling with FD?
I'm rolling with FD.
What? Who's rolling with FD?
I'm rolling with FD.
Talk to him. What's up, everybody? This is FD from Rolling with FD, and I've wanted to tell this story for a long time. It's a great story. It's a story about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I was at Frank & Sons 4 to 5 years ago, and they had a Raider Fest going on. We're talking about Tim Brown is there, Rod Woodson, other Raider legends are in the house signing autographs. Y'all are good? Y'all good? And at the Raider Fest, which was so cool, they had a silent auction. And in the silent auction was a piece of the Staples Center. And this was a special piece. So at the Staples Center, backing it up, walk with me. They had a special entrance for certain seats at the stadium. And in that entrance, on each side, they had players. They had big plaques of players. Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, as well as others. These plaques were very special because they were embedded into the wall of the entrance. They had the name of the player, certain stats about them, and let you know more about their career. So at the silent auction, they were auctioning one off. It was kind of cool, right? So this is the first silent auction that I've been in, where when I dived in, I started bidding. I thought I got to the end, I was about to win, and then someone bid it on top of me. And so we're going back and forth. G at the time, this is years before Rolling with FD, but we were still rolling. Don't get it twisted now. G was holding Super Junior. We're talking. I'm talking to the guy who's bidding against me, and we're standing right there marking our bids down. This became a one-on-one bid, which was crazy. So as we're bidding, I look at the guy and I say, hey, look over there. You see both of my sons? That's G and that's Super Junior. And when Super Junior is an old man, he'll have this piece. And as I walk to now, which is the Crypto.com arena, formerly the Staples Center, it brings back a lot of memories of this piece. And if you look down there, this is a piece of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Steve Brad. I'm at the OC Dugout today for our Beckett onsite day, and check this piece out. It's even hard to put into words. This thing once stood outside the Staples Center. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, obviously, right there. And check this out. Have you ever seen this guy inscribed like this? Crazy. And it gets that, and look at this. This thing is heavy. Full sign. We're at the OC Dugout today. Don't forget to stop by and see us. You could always find our schedule on our Facebook page, Beckett Authentication, and come check us out in person sometime, just like this gentleman did, and had this great item. Thanks.
So talking about that Kareem piece, that always gets me excited. That's a great cornerstone of my collection. But now we're going to transition over to the great conversation I told you about at the beginning with Carlo from Cmon Cards. So let's talk some slabs and autographs. With Carlo, and we're going to talk through autographs on cards, getting them slabbed, and the entire process that he goes through to make this happen.
How's it going? What's up, FD?
Good, brother.
Good
How
to
you
see
doing?
you always.
Nice to see
very
you.
good, very good. Yeah, I got lucky. I got put outside today.
It's a breeze out here.
Oh yeah, man.
It's a great crowd inside. Yeah. It's a good show.
Yeah.
So walk us through. So you have a card, and take us through back what you were doing where you would get cards autographed?
Okay, so back when I was a kid, I just loved to go to the stadium in LA, Forum, Dodger Stadium, and see who the teams were coming in and try to get autographs. So I had a bunch of autographs from the mid-90s that I held on to. And then, of course, like a lot of people, as this hobby blew up in the last couple years, I decided to bring some of them back out and see what the process was. So I started learning about different companies that authenticate autograph cards. And I learned that some of these companies offer grading specials throughout the quarters in the year. So let's say, like this Emmitt Smith, not graded, this is a rookie autograph card. Not graded is worth a lot less than once you grade it by a reputable company like PSA.
Yes.
But when you get the grading specials, when you send them in, they brand them with these trading cards. They don't actually put what the card is. Like, let's say if you were to send Justice, Kevin Garnett, and Solo, you'd get what the card is. They'd certify the card and also authenticate it. And this comes at a different value price than one that they would just brand as trading card. So, every year they'd have like a $15 a card authentication fee. So I'd wait, get a bunch, and then send them all in. And autograph cards take a lot less time to come back than actual cards you're grading. So, it might take me a month to get these back, while it took me almost a year to get my graded cards back. So for me, it's a good plus.
And then for those out there who's asking, why would you have these different grading services? Because different collectors want different things.
Correct.
If I have an autographed card, I may only want to know, is that autograph real? I'm not thinking about telling me more about the card. But then there are other services that can tell you about the grade of the card as well, and the grade of the autograph.
Right, and at this point, there's over 10 to 20 different grading companies that authenticate. But, PSA and Beckett are the leading companies by far. People look at just PSA and Beckett cards mostly, and SGC as well. And, for SGC, what they do, just be aware, if you're going to send in a card to get authenticated by SGC, they only authenticate autographs that are 10s. So if an autograph is not...
Are you telling me that?
Yeah, so if it's not a 10 grade, they're not going to slab it and put a 10 on it. And that's what SGC does. But, Beckett does the same thing. They grade autos. Sometimes buyers or new people in the hobby get confused and think this 10 is for the card grade, but it's not. It's only for the autograph. If you read closely, it says Beckett 10 autograph. So you don't want to come to a show and have a vendor try to sell you something that's only graded for the autograph and try to sell it as the card is graded that. So the whole value of a card is a lot more once you get a Gem Mint 10 card compared to one that grades as a 6 or whatnot. So you got to be careful.
Then also, if you see a listing on eBay, sometimes you'll see a listing on eBay that says a PSA 10, but it's really a PSA 10 autograph.
Correct.
So you have to look through that description and match it to the card when you're making your decision to buy something.
Right, and sellers try to use that sometimes to kind of confuse the buyer and get done with the sale. But you really have to pay close attention. If you're purchasing off of eBay, you read all the descriptions, you look at the card over and over. You don't just go, oh, that's a good price, and jump on it. You have to do your research when you're buying cards, specifically autograph authentication. And they come in different sizes as well. Like, you get an older card, like this Pele from 1977, the Sportscaster brand, they had bigger cards. So you can also get those signed as well. And PSA will give you a bigger label. So it all varies how big your autograph card is and what size it comes back in. And you also have this size of them too, and all the companies do it. Like, this is a Beckett authenticated Muhammad Ali. I love it. I'm probably going to keep this. This is a beautiful card. Here's his autograph. And you always read the labels to see what you're actually buying. Because sometimes they come in as reprints as well, and you're just not so certain. So it takes a little bit of time to do your research. It took me like a good 6-7 months to do all the research to get back into it. And I've always stuck with the autograph cards rather than the graded ones. There's just some nostalgia to it where there's a story behind it, like who signed it, was there fingerprint on it, or whatever the story is. It's pretty interesting for me.
Yeah, very much so. I appreciate you taking us through that. Oh, there's so many different variations when you start looking at cars and what you want to invest in. And like Carlo talked about, it's good to know each detail and be able to speak to that and have knowledge of it so that you know what you're investing in and then what the investment potential could be in the future. That's always important.
Correct. And anytime you see FD at a show, you even watch FD and he takes his time. He doesn't just come up and just pick something he likes. He looks, he browses around, comes back, asks all the questions, because you have to ask questions to get the answers that you can believe and use for you to make the right decision.
Which is another reason why I think it's good to participate in the hobby, in the community, and have conversations. Because Carlo has told me some things over time about autographs and cards and getting them slabbed that I did not know about until I met him and started talking to him about it. So never assume that you know everything about the hobby, and be humble yourself and be able to talk to people and get more information.
Yeah, do your research always. Whatever you're looking for, whatever hobby it is, do the research. You'll learn so fast just once you start just delving in and figuring stuff out. Because some people like collecting a certain kind of an autograph for a certain player, and they have two different types of autographs. So, like if you look at Kobe, right? Kobe, back when he first came into the league, this is how he signed his cards. But later on, after he retired, and later on, he kind of signed it like this. Like, look at the difference in these two. And they're both authenticated by reputable companies, PSA and Beckett. And he had two different types of autographs. Jordan has the one type, but back in his rookie year, he kind of autographed it a little different as well. So you kind of want to have an idea of understanding of how this player even autographs the card before you take a chance at a raw card that you want graded by PSA or Beckett. And kind of that's the key for me. It's like collecting art or any other kind of thing with authentication needed. You have to follow the reputable companies that guarantee it in a certain way, and that way you figure out the value of the card by that authentication.
And almost every player, you could say president, you could say anyone in history, they change their autograph over a periods of time in their life. It just naturally occurs like that. You look looking at this Muhammad Ali, I can almost tell at what stage he was in his life when he signed that compared to another autograph.
See, like these two, somewhat different. His M's different there. And you get to see different parts of a person's signature where you can authenticate it yourself. Like this Hank Aaron, I bought this card raw. I took a chance. But looking at the autograph, I kind of did my own research and realized that could be a good real one, and it came back authentic. And sometimes it doesn't work out that way, but you live and learn in a way. You have to learn to go through the process, but don't be discouraged and intimidated by actually going through the process of getting these things graded by companies. You just have to go on their website, read the instructions of how to do it, and it gets done.
Like Muhammad Ali, he has a certain slant to his M, and later in his life, his Ali actually got a lot smaller over time. That's just the way he signed.
Yeah, and then, people age and they sign different. The stroke is different, right. But these certain companies are very good in picking the real ones from the not so real ones.
Tell some of the stories about how you started collecting in person. Like, how would you meet people? What would you say when you walked up to them? Tell some of those stories.
Okay, well, I'll tell you, the very first time I actually collected was in 1992, 93, the Super Bowl, where it was the Cowboys and the Bills, and they were out in Pasadena. They were playing it at the Rose Bowl, and they had this NFL experience right outside the stadium during the weeks coming up to the Super Bowl, where athletes come, they do signings, there's big card show, there's all sorts of stuff going on. My very first autograph I got was a Roger Staubach on a football. That kind of took it off for me, where I came home afterwards, I couldn't believe I got the autograph. I was so excited. And then I realized a couple of my friends were into it, and then it took off from there. I mean, we went to Laker games, Clipper games all the time, met all sorts of athletes. I have this really cool Jack Nicholson story where I got him signed at the Great Western Forum. He wasn't too happy. I just got it authenticated this last week. It was an index card. But, it had a lot of history for me. Like, anytime I see it, I remember getting the autograph from him back then, and it's kind of cool. So I've had a lot of different stories growing up from then. And then, high school, college, stopped doing all that stuff. Now I got kids, and I'm back in the business. So
that's how it happens.
Yeah. So, timing's key in anything you do, and cards are kind of like the stock market, where they go up and down, but you have to kind of realize for yourself, why are you in this hobby? Are you in it to make a profit, or are you in it because you love the hobby and collecting? And I'm in it for a little bit of both, more collecting, less profit, but this is kind of a new thing that's come up, and it's great to be out here and meet more of the good, positive people in the hobby, you know, that an FD is definitely one of them at the top.
Thank you very much.
So definitely, I watch your videos all the time, and you drop a lot of good knowledge, and I know you're very honest, and it's cool to follow how you've progressed through your videos. So it's been good.
I know I love to hear his stories on autograph collecting, because it was similar for me when I first started going to shows and getting autographs. It was really all about meeting the athlete and the experience of meeting the athlete.
Yeah.
That's what made the autograph so much special.
Yeah.
And then how they sign, that's what adds
and
to
if
it.
they're nice, and if they're not so nice. I've had some not so nice athletes, for sure, that have laughed at me or like cursed me out or said no, not a chance. And I've been one-on-one with a person and said no. So it varies. But, you know, you've got other guys like the GOAT himself, Jerry Rice, one of the nicest guys you'll meet.
Nice.
Always. Takes pictures, signs, no problem, you know. So it depends on, it doesn't have to be the quality of the athlete as well. You've got really solid players that are super nice, and you have like players that are not so great and they're not so nice. So it all kind of varies, but it's the experience and the process that kind of makes a difference for me.
And I always tell people, it's no different than when you meet someone out, right? You don't know that person's disposition that day, or something may have happened, and that may be the reason why they're not being nice, or they're just not a nice person.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of athletes who will engage you and talk to you and sign what you have, and that's what makes the experience special.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. It's different. It's different than just buying the card from you. I feel like all of those have a story of their own, aside from, you know, how many of these cards were printed. It's like, man, I remember when I got this guy at a restaurant after the game, you know, so it varies. It's pretty cool. There's a good story behind most of them.
If you're ever at a show in LA or someone else where Carlo is, I'll come on Cards, follow him on Instagram. He's a great person to come up to. He has a lot of knowledge. You can ask him questions. He will answer your questions and talk through a whole process with you about what you're trying to collect.
Yeah, I'm Cmon Collectibles on Instagram, and I'm always down to chat at the shows. So don't hesitate.
Well, I appreciate you.
Appreciate you. Thank you very
bro.
much. All right.
Yep.
Awesome.
I want to thank everybody for rolling with us today. Means a lot to G and I. As you can see, we're here at the Crypto Center. We're talking about Kareem. We had a great show today as far as cards. This has been beautiful. You all know that I'm from Chicago, but I enjoy LA, California, and everything that is involved in it as far as sports. So until we see you again, like, subscribe, hit the notifications button, because we want to bring you more and more and more. And when you do those things, it helps us as far as deliver content to you. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. We can't say enough how much we appreciate you viewing, leaving comments, and letting us know when we see you out what you think of the show. It's on, people. Woo!